If you're considering Replit to vibe code for the first time but worried about getting mind controlled, don't worry. I can confirm that Replit's CEO is not in fact Yuri from Red Alert. They just go to the same barber. Now that you're assured, I have good news. Replit is so easy to use that anyone with a pulse can build apps with it. Bad news? Most just wing it and stay in the newbie stage forever, and so do their apps. Great news! I'll show you 4 simple things to do that will immediately set you apart from 99% of beginner projects. In fact, I think the first thing alone will set it apart from 98% of them. Full disclaimer, this video is sponsored by Replit. If the intro was enough to convince you, skip my video and check them out, link in the description. Otherwise, keep watching as I share 4 things that will immediately unsloppify your Replit app. And if you're serious, stay till the end for 12 tips directly from Replit veterans. With vibe coding in general, there's a skill floor and there's a skill ceiling. The gap in between is significant, and it's not that the ceiling is high. The floor is just f***ing low. This video isn't going to make you the king of vibe coding. No video can do that. But what this video can do is save you from wasting time at the ground floor. So you can build an app your team can safely use, that can handle real payments or that users would actually pay to subscribe to. So let's start with the first one. Import designs from Figma. The same way unedited AI copy is easy to spot, default vibe-coded designs also have a look. There's no term for it, but it's not a bad thing. And it's also not the vibe coding tool's fault. They are not design tools. But if you rely on them for all the design choices, it definitely ends up looking generic. Replit addresses this by letting you import Figma designs into your project. So start by going to Figma's huge library of templates and look for something that looks good and fits your use case. If it's a perfect match already, go ahead and import it. But if the template needs some changes, don't import it yet. Make changes to it on Figma itself, which has its own AI assistant to help you. Or if you're spoiled like me, ask your UI UX designer to do it for you. Once it's ready, importing it into your Replit project is just one click away. And still, most don't. So if you just do this one thing, your app will already look better than almost all vibe-coded projects. Number 2, add authentication and signups. Authentication is essential when an app has multiple users and needs to identify them for security and to provide a custom experience. People expect their data to be private, separate, and secure, and having authentication and sign-in features is how you demonstrate this to them. Replit makes it stupidly easy. Just tell the agent you want authentication and signups, and it generates everything you need. Sign up and login pages with Gmail sign-in and even 2-factor authentication. One thing to note is that in my experience, when you do this, Replit's agent will usually lock the app behind login by default. You can keep it that way if you are creating an internal tool for your own team to use. But if the app is meant to be its own marketing tool, you generally make parts of it accessible without signing in so public users can use it. And those that want to enjoy more features like file uploads, save settings, no watermark, unlimited usage, whatever, they have the option to sign up for an account and get those features. Whatever you decide on, just tell the agent and they will handle it. My point is, if you want users to trust your software with their company data or billing information, don't skip authentication and signups. In fact, the next thing on our list relies very heavily on this. Folks, can you hear that? Sounds like emotional blackmail. Hi there, hope you have found this video so far useful. I started this channel to help business owners who aren't the most technical make smart decisions about using software to grow their business. If that's you, do me a favor, hit subscribe, leave a comment so I know this was useful, and share this with one business owner who's thinking about building software but doesn't know where to start. Thank you so much, and back to the video. Number 3, specify your database needs. Newbie vibe coders tend to be very front-end centric. They prompt the agent to tweak what users see without considering the back-end, which is just as important. This is where all your user data and product information actually lives. It's where you store, retrieve, and combine data. It's where app images, documents, and videos sit. And just like authentication, adding a database on Replit is very easy. You can just tell the agent, add a database and storage, and it will just do it for you. From my testing, the default database it made for my app cost calculator was good enough. Number 4, connect to existing tools. This one is mainly if you are wipe coding an internal tool or SaaS, but it might be important for mobile apps too. Think of all the digital tools we rely on. Most heavily piggyback on other digital tools everyone uses like Gmail, Notion, Asana, Calendar, and you get the idea. Replit lets you connect your app to these tools with a simple sign-in. And for some reason, Spotify is on the list. I've never had a client ask for Spotify integration, but maybe this is useful for someone building a lifestyle or media application. Anyway, back to the important stuff. These are bread and butter integrations for internal tools and SaaS, and Replit doesn't limit this to your Gmail, Asana boards, or Notion pages. You can tell the agent to let your users connect their Gmail, their boards, or their Notion pages. So be sure to go through Replit's list of integrations to find what's available and connect tools that help with your use case. Now, let's recap real quick. Skip your virgin web coding phase. Do these 4 things. Number 1, import proper designs from Figma. Number 2, add authentication and sign up. Number 3, specify your database needs. And number 4, connect tools people will want to use. And your Replit app will already be significantly better than 99% of the stuff beginners make. But how do you unlock that last 1%? By listening to the community. I always make a big deal about the size of community of a tool or platform. The more users a tool has, the more collective wisdom you can tap into and learn from. As Kanye said, no one man should have all that power. Power lies in the group. And Replit has a decent sized community behind it. So I compiled threads on Reddit asking for or sharing best practices and got ChatGPT to pull out the 12 pieces of advice that kept coming up. And here they are. Tips from the Replit community. I'm going to split up advice from Replit users into 3 categories. Number 1, how you scope. This is all about defining the work clearly before actually starting to build. And you should prepare requirements document to make sure the agent knows what you need. And number 2, bug description documents so it understands what issues it needs to solve. Number 2, how you control the agent. Unsurprisingly, it's all about being specific and granular, and the community recommends you to build one feature at a time and keep tasks small. Start a new chat when stuck or beginning a new feature. Tell the agent exactly what it can touch and reference files directly. Always read the agent's plan and assumptions before approving changes. Ask the agent to create scripts to test new features thoroughly. And best of all, just paste files into ChatGPT if the agent can't solve an issue. Number 3, how you protect your app. This is about how to make sure new edits don't break whatever has gone into production, and it seems kind of obvious, but do not edit production directly. Develop in branches, test it before merging, roll back often. Keep secrets out of the front end and use environment variables, rate limiting, and CAPTCHA. Create README, release notes, and workflow scripts to document everything. I admit, some of these involve thinking like a developer would, so not very beginner friendly. For example, secrets is a specific software term for your own sensitive data like API keys that you don't want to accidentally expose through the code. But they'll slowly start to make sense once you start using Replit. And just looking at these now will prime you to put them into action at the first opportunity. And many are tips you can implement from day one, even as a total beginner. It's implanting a subconscious memory in your mind. What I've shared are just basics that most beginners don't even realize they are missing. Do just these 4 things and your app has a fair shot at succeeding or failing on its own merit. Not because it looks generic, has zero security, or can't connect to standard third-party tools. So go forth, my children, and vibe code your first app on Replit. But remember, vibe coding solves the building app part. The principle behind building good software are unchanged. Feature prioritization, intuitive UI, and above all, solving a genuine problem faced by your target audience. If you don't get that right, no amount of vibe coding is going to help. So if you're interested in vibe coding but don't know what to build, check out my video on how to find $1 million SaaS ideas for beginners, where I cover everything you need to know to find the right app idea for you. And if you haven't yet, please do subscribe and leave a like. Thank you for watching, and if you're not going to Replit just yet, let's find you your app idea.